We're recording the meeting. If you have objection to speaking something on the recording, please raise your hand and let me know, and we will stop the recording. Otherwise, we'll record the entire meeting. Okay, item 1, reading of the minutes from the last meeting. We're not going to read them. They've been sent to everybody. Does anybody have any additions to our last week's meeting?
Do we need a motion to accept them as presented?
We're going to in a minute. Any additions, any corrections? If there are not any, do we accept the minutes of last week's meeting? All in favor? We accept them. Okay, item 2, reports from our subcommittees. First up is Dennis with building needs, his subcommittee. And Dennis has some things to share with us, I think.
Hand these around. This is, some of it is my ideas, whatever, and jump in and correct me and say I'm nuts, or say I left something out, or whatever. I have enough for everybody here.
Did you get one, Jeff?
I did.
Anybody need more?
Everybody get one, here's an extra.
Yeah, do.
You can join us, no?
No, he likes the pen.
I don't know.
Okay. In this list, number 1, I tried to address the list of, quote, anomalies on the inspection from the Municipal Association and the engineer that disqualify us for insurance, and tried to prioritize those. There are some other things that are added in there which you may think don't belong there, and please say so. The roof repair, as I say, I tried once to get up through there. I haven't had a second chance to get up through. I may in the next day or two, we'll see. The select board has asked Patrick to get an estimate from a commercial roofing company. So, and I told Patrick, they said, when they come, I want to be there with them. So that's where that stands right at the moment. Okay? Foundation, which is the biggest issue, circulate that thing around. Everybody hasn't seen it yet. We met the other day with a representative from HTC Hafford Basement Systems, and Jerry and I was there. Jeff was there. He presented their system that they have for redoing basement walls, which is a system which basically designed for exactly the problem that we have. And the fellow came, gave his presentation. I was impressed with the product, impressed with the presentation, and impressed with the person who presented it, was my take on it. It seemed to be exactly what we need for our situation. We have a couple of previous estimates from other people that were done a couple of years ago. Different variations, different approach. Not exactly sure what they encompass. This seems to be a good fix, and he measured and did a lot of analysis, gave us an estimate and everything, and I think he was, when he quoted the price on it, I think he was waiting for us to blow up.
I hope it was.
Yeah, he was he kind of gave us the price and was thinking, most everybody's going to say, oh, they're wrong, we can't afford, We were all expecting that and have been scared with bigger prices than what he quoted. And we didn't, we didn't blow up in his face, and he was kind of pleasant about that. I have talked with him a couple of times since then, or texted him. The rebar they used in that is number 7 rebar, which is 3/4 inch. It's 1 foot on center, horizontal, and there are steel beams in that system vertically that support it. This would be the largest use of that product that they have done thus far, but they have done several others. I asked him about getting to see one of the jobs that they've done. He said, we can arrange that. Anybody?
Do you have a couple more of these too?
Yes, yes. So, the price is on your sheet there, it's $148,000. We knew it would be expensive, and no doubt about it. Anything, Jeff, you want to add, or Jerry?
Yeah, what's that?
You want
Isn't
to
that pretty reasonable compared to
Well,
the estimates that they presented?
we've got other
years
people,
past?
we've got other quotes from a different perspective that are up more than that, up toward 300,000 and things like that, and who knows how accurate those are, we don't really know.
But I think you guys really liked the product and the way that this is put together, the actual structural rigidity and the way that it hooks the building together and the warranty.
The product, and Diane recommended that I call him, and the person sells the product, frankly.
That's correct.
He's very good.
He's very good.
He came in with lasers and really set up, and he looked at the sway in the walls, and he didn't just give us a fly off the handle number. We were there 2.5 hours, and he looked at the run out in the walls, he looked at plumbing in the floor. I mean, he looked at everything there was to look at. One of the other things that I really like about it is one of the concerns we've had is the insulation and how this product tightens the wall up from moisture and from it just really
It's a
solidifies
fit. It's a fit for our
what
need.
we're doing. It is a fit.
And it comes with a warranty.
25 years. He said.
Wow.
You're not going to get a warranty with any
I
other.
won't complain after 10, 15.
Okay, all right, all right.
You're home free.
Yeah, I'd say, as far as I'm concerned, and I think Jeff and Jerry, that's the best answer we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
They can do it relatively short order, once the weather breaks. A normal system, it takes them, they said 2 to 5 days to do it. This is bigger. He doesn't have enough equipment to set up and do the whole thing in one pour. They come with a concrete pumping trailer, which they can back right up to the bulkhead and pump the concrete in there. They would have to do it in sections. I don't know if he can do it in 2 or if he has to do it in more than that.
I think he said he had to do it in 3 or 4.
Maybe. But that's a big seller. It's 3,600
Yeah.
square feet.
This is a good
It's
one,
huge.
so.
It's big. And he also recommends spray foam insulation. He would not do the concrete all the way to the top because it's brick from belly level up. The top 3 feet of it or better. He would come up about a little bit on the brick, but most of the brick is above ground. He'll catch everything that's below grade and then spray foam it from 30 inches from the top down and spray foam the rim joists all the way around.
It's the exterior or the interior?
Interior.
Just up top.
Yeah, he would spray foam 30 inches of it down.
Wasn't it my
We asked
understanding
those
that-
questions. I know what you're thinking, Phil.
Wasn't it my understanding that the concrete was gonna solve with the angle irons and the poles or whatever you guys were saying, that and the concrete actually creates an insulation from the outside exterior pushing in because of the way it's built?
The spray foam itself, where the floor stringers go out, there's a place where cold air comes in every building.
Yeah.
And the spray foam is designed on the wooden structure where your floor joists go out over the concrete wall. It fills that cavity in, so there's no chance for any cold to get in through. That's pretty much what the spray foam is for, is to just tighten it right up, so there's no heat loss
Right.
on the top of our wall,
Yeah, and through the brick itself too.
through the brick itself.
You know, and the price for that insulation is listed down below there. That's another $9,000. So you're looking at $158,000, which is a chunk of money. There's no doubt about it.
You're gonna get something that's gonna last 40, 50 years without us even wondering about it.
Well, it as
See what you pay for.
Compared to what I've heard, it sounds cheap.
well, what I think.
Past estimates.
Here's the other thing that,
Spray foam over the bricks, how do you know if you're having structural issues down the road? How can you tell? How can you see it below grade? You can't, but you're not gonna do it below grade. It's gonna be,
no,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how you would see if there was a crack coming or
Yeah.
something.
I don't know, anybody?
so one more thing, my interpretation of this, that product uses I-beams vertically, 2 feet apart, and it uses horizontal rebar every 12 inches.
Wow.
And you bore a 7/8 hole in the concrete, and there's a pin made on the bottom of the I-beam that pins right into the floor. And then there's a fastener that goes to the outer timber around the whole building and fastens that I-beam right to it every 2 feet. And then
It's not going anywhere.
there's pins that come off the I-beam, and they set forms up, and then they pour the I-beams right into concrete.
Yeah.
And then they cap that concrete, and they leave brick showing. And then they spray foam out around the top of the sill, so you don't get any heat loss around your wooden structure. And the beauty to that is, once you've pinned it down through the slab, and you've got I-beams vertically every 2 feet, and then you affix it to your outer sill, it can't move.
Locks the building.
It locks it all together as one solid piece.
It's,
Well done, guys.
it's, Diane put me onto it, so thank
Yeah,
you,
she
Diane.
gave us a good lead.
But,
Well,
Thank you.
I was impressed by, the representative.
yes.
I'm impressed by the company because they have longevity and a good reputation. I'm impressed by the kind of method that they use. And frankly, I'm impressed by the price because for the size of the building and the amount of work that needs to be done, I say we're getting away pretty inexpensively.
It's not cheap,
Yes.
but still,
Well, I don't know
And-
foundations, and I roughly told him without even looking, I said, we're gonna be 125, 150, right? And he said yes, and
Good things and cheap.
that's
The,
right.
the other little piece of that is we get a little bit of peace of mind with a 25-year warranty. And this product is not just used in central Maine, this is used all over the country. And it's an engineered product. It's not, some guy that does foundations
I see
coming in
that.
saying, I think this will fix it. This is an engineered product that is, in my opinion, going to work.
Yeah, and his company goes clear down into New York and other places doing this, and they're not just local. It's the best answer I've seen,
Me too.
unless somebody comes up with something better.
I'd say,
Pleasantly is a good chunk of our 400,000 for the rest.
Right.
We're trying to do this under a certain
Yeah,
budget.
yeah, it's a big chunk of money for anybody to look at, no doubt about it, but we expected that. Well, let's go on to some of the other points there. We would have, in this contract, we are responsible for moving some pipes that come in on the south side. We got an oil tank on the east side that needs to be moved. Those things need to come back. His contract calls for us to move everything back from the wall. Basically, they say 10 feet. The pipes don't have to come out that far. They have to come out far enough so they can get their forms in behind it. I have called Shane Kraus, and he tried to call me back today. We're playing phone tag, but I will get with him to get a price on doing that. There will be some masonry work to do on the outside of the bricks after they're done. We've got some cracks and some will have to be repointed and maybe part of it pulled out and replaced a little bit. Very,
And that should be done prior to the wall.
you think prior to that?
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay,
Then when they spray foam, it'll be nice and tight.
okay, okay. So we need to get a price on that.
Do you have any masons in mind?
I was thinking of Nick Crocker, just because he's in town,
He's
got a business in our town. He'd be the guy to ask.
You don't wanna do it?
He's not gonna be able to do it. He's not
Okay,
gonna-
well, not an ask.
Yep. Okay, what's the name?
It's Nick Crocker.
Nick
The
Crocker.
old Russ Moulton garage
Yeah.
down
We're good
below the
friends
Silver
with
Mill
him.
Oh,
Building.
CNS.
Yeah.
Yeah, CNS Masonry is the name
You
of
want
the
his
business.
number?
C
I'll get you his
CNS.
number.
CNS, okay.
They're very good.
Okay, I can try him. Number 3, we have a number of electrical problems on the, anomalies, excuse me, on the engineer's report. Some wires that are exposed. I put a call into Brent Washburn, he has not returned my call, so I'll keep pestering him.
I sent him an email and told him we would be getting a hold of him too.
Okay.
That's Nick's number.
We have another electrician that wants to put a bid in.
Excuse me.
Okay,
Can you read that okay?
Skip.
Okay.
Davis wants to-
okay, if Skip wants to do that, that's
Yeah.
fine.
And we
343.
thought you were saying he wasn't gonna be able to have time, so we wanted to call
343.
him.
343,
680.
0680.
okay,
Yeah.
all right,
He wants to put a bid in.
okay,
Good.
all right.
And he's a master electrician also.
I mean, his mother's on the committee, so
Yeah, I
presuming
will-
that she'll
yeah.
recuse herself from
Okay,
any
okay,
voting to stay
Okay.
with it.
all right. Okay, pursue that. Number 4, Jeff and Jerry noticed when we were down there, there's some mold and mildew coming in the basement. And then they figured out that most of it is in close proximity to the second chimney. In one of the previous engineer's reports, it's in one of these piles here, they recommended removing that second chimney. Now, removing it is quite a job. That's tall, and it's a good-sized chimney. It'll take some work. Whether we remove it or whether we fix the flashings or not, it's still an open hole through the roof in which water comes down.
Can it just be capped?
You could put a cap, if we could put a cap over it and seal around it, maybe that's the answer.
Or could you just take it down below the roof line?
Then you have to pour it full. You have to pour it,
Yeah.
Stick the
which
elevator
is
there.
fine.
Yeah, there you go.
Just to
Oh,
remove the
yeah,
top
yeah.
part of the chimney and seal the roof, then you don't. How about historically? Okay.
I'm not sure which way we need to go on that, but,
I would guess that reflashing it when we address the roof is gonna be the least expensive way to go.
probably. And put a cap of some sort over it, because otherwise you've got just an open hole where the water's gonna come down.
Correct.
Is that something that when you have a mason coming over to take a look at things, the mason could look at the chimney as
Absolutely.
That
well?
could be,
He
sealed my chimney
yeah,
before.
yeah,
Have them look at it and give us a quote
yeah.
of what they think we should do with it.
Okay. Number 5, on the west wall next to the fire station, when that driveway was put in through there, it's right up against the side of the building. And the snow that's plowed up there is plowed up against the side of the building. That's a no-no in my book. And I'm not exactly sure what's under there, how we can dig, whether we dig it out, whether we're gonna put a retaining wall in there, or what's involved until the snow leaves there, we can't tell much about it, but it's
Have somebody snow.
It's gotta be addressed though.
it needs to be addressed. And that's not on the engineer's list, that's on my list as I see it, but, the library area. Question whether we plan on using it as a meeting room. It is large enough to seat basically 100 people. We could hold our town meeting in there. Or do we want to figure it as rental space? That we've had some people looking into potentials potential for that. And that's a question that, to be determined, I guess. At either rate, there's some partial petitions in there that would have to come out, the shelving. There is no insulation in that south side or in part of the east and west walls, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Okay,
The exterior of the library itself remains uninsulated.
okay. If we're going to do something with that, then obviously it needs to be insulated. And if we're gonna do that and use it as a room, I'm sure it would need new flooring and painting and everything else. Whether we insulate, whether you tear out the plaster and laths and insulate it from the inside and then sheetrock it, or whether you blow the insulation in, that's a question to be determined too.
Does it need to be rewired?
Excuse-
Does the library need to be rewired or anything?
Well,
Is that
I don't know
reason
how
to
much-
take the walls out?
I don't know how much wiring there is in there. I don't.
It didn't appear it from the basement, from everything I could see that was going up in that wall looked modern.
Okay.
Junction boxes, you know, Romex style wiring.
Yeah, I don't know how much there is there. And part of what we'd need for wiring would depend on what we intend to do with it. If we're just using it for a meeting room, you don't need a lot,
Right.
other than lighting. If we need a tenant in there that needs something else, that would be another issue. These are all questions that we need to wrestle with a little bit. Number 7, the exterior, it needs some refreshing. It needs refreshing. And if anybody knows anybody who's a good painter who wants a big project of that size, there are a couple little backyard Joes.
Did you talk with Clint about
I'm
that?
gonna stop in tomorrow, if I can catch it, Clint Roden.
Yeah,
He
okay.
does a lot of painting.
Ask him.
Can ask him if he'd be willing to get.
Painted the roof.
And do we know, Cheryl
Murals.
said she thought that was stain, not paint.
Well, it may
Is
be.
it?
Yeah.
So is that gonna require a different,
The new clapboards, only on the north and east side is new clapboards, and it has a membrane behind it that ventilates behind the clapboards.
so 2 walls are stained? But anyone that paints should be able to do
Yeah,
stain or.
paint or
right?
stain, which either way.
But you would want to make sure he knows part of it's stain, part's.
Right,
not.
right.
Okay, so we need to.
Yep. Number 8, the flooring in the hallway and office area. You know, if we, excuse my expression, fleece the town for $440,000. If we take the piggy bank and smash it and we spend $200,000 of it in the basement and some more in the roof and do nothing to the rest of the building, the whole town is gonna say, well, they got $400,000, let me see what they've done with it, and they walk in and the building looks just the same as it did before.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're all gonna be taken to the woodshed and shellacked.
Or if 2 or 3 years down the road, we're like,
Basement
oh, we
torch.
need to paint the inside, we need
Yeah.
this, we need that, they're gonna say, gee, you just did this.
One of the reports suggested somewhere that the flooring needed to be replaced. That green indoor-outdoor carpet coming in there, and in the office, it's in terrible shape anyway. You know, vinyl plank flooring is what everybody does these days. And
No. What's under it, floor? What kind of wood is under it? Does anybody know for the floor?
well, it's solid.
We're gonna guess it's probably hardwood, but nobody's peeled the
Could
rug
we
up to
finish
look.
it? Just finish the wood floors?
Tear it
That would
out.
be beautiful.
It would be beautiful.
I'm not
Thank you.
sure.
I think it'd be slippery.
I don't know either.
I don't know what's there, but
We can oil it.
if you got
think it's
people
pine.
coming in from outside through that parking
You
lot
have runners, you have
Oh.
runners.
on a hardwood floor,
Bang.
the beauty of the vinyl plank floors, it's what all the stores and everybody's using these days, is it's mostly waterproof and almost indestructible.
Tough.
And it can be quite attractive, it's done, you pick the right.
It's easy to remove when you're done with
Keep
it.
in mind that the Charleston
well, I'll call them inmates, do a lot of work for the public.
Okay.
So
Grab them to do
Painting,
painting, floor.
they fixed our kitchen up over there. I mean, they
Okay.
did beautiful work.
So do we. I
Okay.
mean, would you take volunteer labor? I mean, I've painted the inside
Well,
of the
Just see how
The-
they'll.
This is one of the issues to be solved yet. I have offered to do a couple things for the town, and I was refused. Because they didn't want my help, because they are afraid of the liability problem for volunteers.
Yeah, insurance.
Insurance, and we're going to have to cross that bridge. I've asked Michael about it, and his answer was, well, why would you even consider doing something inside the building until you get the foundation fixed? Okay, well, all right, we're addressing that.
Yeah.
Right, but if you get these things done,
Right.
and you get some insurance,
Right.
then
Yep.
some of us can go in with some rollers, right?
And I'm,
Sign a waiver.
We can sign a waiver, thank you.
We can
I
sign-
hope that there are people in town, I hope that I'm not the only person in town who knows how to lay vinyl flooring. I hope that there would find a couple of people who would go in there and give us a day or two and do some of that. And paint some walls, and I don't see why.
I think there'd be a lot of,
Yeah.
And volunteer efforts, adding those hours together will help us in phase 2 when we start looking at grants. Because that's in-kind labor that shows that there's a commitment by the town to the building.
Right.
And so if we do start doing volunteer work, we've got to make sure that we have an accurate count of hours
Okay,
so that
all right.
it can be an in-kind measure for any grants that are looking
Right.
for commitment from the town in that respect.
And
W-
I
w-
might add that you might want to start keeping track of the time all of you spend on your research, these meetings, because it's not physical work, but it's time.
Mhm.
So if
Yep.
Diana,
It
I
shows
think
an
you should
investment.
start the clock running
Okay.
on all of this, because when you start applying for those grants, they look at everything, and they do look at commitments, so
Okay.
that's-
Good point. We need to have something that will show when people come to see that place. As I-
Make a big ooh,
Well, it doesn't have to be a grand production, but we gotta show something and say,
Yeah.
if you stick it all in the cellar and the roof, and they've seen absolutely nothing for their $400,000,
Paint and paper goes a long way.
well, yeah, it
And
can.
once we figure out what we need, we could also go around and find out people that could actually donate some of
Right.
these
Well,
materials.
Yeah, that may be too.
I think the other thing, Dennis, is when we actually can have a town meeting in our own building without borrowing space from the church, I think that would make a big statement. I think that's, in my opinion, that's an important piece of making this building the center of town again, is being able to do that.
Right.
That's my opinion,
Right.
for what it's worth.
No, you're right.
That's how I feel
It
about
would
it,
be
yeah.
good to have an annual meeting and dinner like they used to have.
The number 9, paving the parking lot, you may think, well, that doesn't belong on here. Well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. You can argue that. There is on the engineering report, they recommend paving the parking lot.
Keeps the building clean.
Several years ago, that was recommended.
Was this,
people with allergies, all that.
And,
Been raised at least 3 times and voted down in the past.
yes, it's been discussed and voted down. Cameron Paving says, for budget purposes, figure on $2 a square foot, and I figured it up, and there's about 15,000 square feet, which is a little over 30,000, then you got the 2 driveways coming in, and I threw a figure in there, $40,000 for budget purposes, which,
what about shim and gravel, leveling, is that?
well, if
That's
we
not
need more gravel, that's not included, but that's,
But Cameron is very reasonable. Of all the pavers that we checked out for out here, Cameron gave us the best deal.
okay.
That ain't really that bad.
That's where that's at. The engineer's report said we got a pile of old slate in the attic. Well, yes, we do, and it's a half a dozen wheelbarrows full of broken slate, and we can get a couple volunteers with 5-gallon buckets in an hour or 2, that could be gone. The rest of the attic has a 100-year accumulation of dust and debris.
Good place for it.
Well,
You just need masks and
and
vacuums,
there-
shop vacs.
There was a looks like, almost like there was a sheet of plastic laid over there at one time that's all broken up.
Oh,
That's
That-
Is it protecting something?
I don't know, it's all disintegrated. It would be a lot nicer if few people go up there with a broom and dustpan or a big shop vac or something and clean some of the stuff up. It would go a long way toward making it look a little more presentable. Whether it solves anything functionally, I don't know that it does, but the slate was one of the things they mentioned, and that needs to come out. Well, okay.
Yeah, they might as well clean it up.
Yeah, the fronts, that wouldn't cost anything but some labor. The front steps and porch, that needs some work
Yeah.
out there. The windows on the first floor are 120-year-old windows with a little, well, similar to this, the vinyl inserts put on the inside. What can you do with them? Jerry says, you know, because of the historical side of it, and we probably need to get find something in writing, because we are registered as a historical building. What we are or are not allowed to do. Probably we couldn't put vinyl windows in there even if we wanted to.
do you know the answer to that?
It depends on the building, it depends on the holder of the building. Historic preservation told me that there are some, well, we're a church, so there were some churches that did change some of the structure, as long as it's like a percentage thing or something. And is there a reason you want to take the windows out as opposed to?
Well, it's not economical to heat with single pane
Well,
windows.
I have to say though that these are great, and I know they're not free, but with these we're able to keep, the historical outside.
Right.
And these
Well-
aren't old.
Do they come down in the spring?
Yeah, I take them down.
Yeah, and that's basically the same thing that's
Yeah.
over there. They need some repair.
That could end up being one of those things that, friends of the town hall building, you wanna buy a window, you know? And, well, that's
Have
the.
a window restoration party.
But yeah, I mean, if we figured out the price for, like a period appropriate storm that went on the inside, so it keeps the integrity of the historic aesthetic,
Yeah.
but still does the job in terms of insulation.
Also, Diane, we've got glass on the outside of the vestry windows, some of them. So Newport Glass actually replaced one for us last year. It was like $120. He came and cut it and put it in, and boom, done. And so it's on the outside, and then there's the stained glass. So it seems to work pretty well as far as heat goes.
Jerry said there used to be storm windows to attach to the outside of that
The
building.
downstairs.
Does anybody know if they still exist?
They'd probably be at the town garage if they do.
Okay.
Ooh, what's
That would
that?
be
Very
great.
That would be
Restore
better.
them.
Yeah, it's a pain to put, I know firsthand, it's a pain to put storm windows on and off every year. But that might, that's an option, I don't know.
They could use it to buy and maybe make that a 5-year plan or.
Uh,
spending all that money on heat paying too.
Right.
Middle paying.
Yeah,
And it's called pay somebody to put them in.
yeah, the 13, the fire extinguishers, had expired, nobody had renewed those, you know,
So
that.
I had a conversation with the fire department about that. Jerry Rush is authorized by the state of Maine to inspect the sprinkler and the fire extinguishers. He actually sends the extinguishers out, and the sprinklers they inspect and test themselves.
Right.
And they seemed willing to do whatever
Okay.
it is they need to do to make that happen.
Okay,
People that do
And this was a
our,
conversation we had with the fire
Okay.
chief.
the people that do our inspections on the extinguishers come around once a year and they just show up, do it, fix them, go through them and give you a bill. And I didn't think they were that expensive. I get their
Nope,
name
I
on
think we
the
got 7 or 8 in our building.
generally not a big deal,
Not a big deal.
but it's something that needs to be done.
Yeah.
If there are other things that I've missed, or if you think something in there doesn't belong on the list, please say so.
So isn't the parking lot really muddy? Is that why?
It's an elevated
At
swamp.
times it is, yes.
It is right now, I walked over, so we can get stuck.
Isn't it quite uneven?
Real dusty.
Yes, it is. It's quite uneven.
It would be an impressive change for the town to come to a town meeting and find a paved parking lot,
Yeah.
new flooring going in, and it would go a long way towards soothing some of the animosity.
Yeah. I think the parking lot is all sand they sand it so much because of no, there's literally 3 inches of sand on top, that's why you get so much.
With the Historical Society meeting in the fire barn for a while, the comments were, it was treacherous getting in and out, and I think the fire department would feel really, the comments were consistently, you know, it's not a town hall, nobody's plowing, nobody's shoveling, it was all less looking, it was super icy. So that winter part of the parking lot maintenance would be a selling point.
Well, it's not on the list, but I had a question, and somebody here can tell me, what has been done in the town hall for custodian, janitor? What is
They had a
that?
cleaning service, right?
They canceled the cleaning service and
I
they
think
made
it was
the
Mark
clerks
was
back.
cleaning it and then they.
Excuse me?
They had a cleaning service and they canceled the cleaning service and they had the clerks do the vacuuming and clean
And
the
then they
toilets.
didn't do it.
And then they did
Close
not.
the bathroom.
And then they shut the
And they closed the
bathroom.
bathrooms off for that reason.
So part of the whole issue here is lack of maintenance,
Yeah.
lack of routine maintenance.
That's what-
Budget.
Or lack of budget to maintain.
I don't know,
Lack of common sense.
So should maintenance be a line item on it?
well, it might be, I'm not sure, but I can't imagine that we couldn't find somebody in town who would like a couple $100 a month extra, who would go in and
If you can get the.
vacuum and swab the floor and
Probably the firemen.
clean the toilets. I don't know, but, you know,
Well, and that kind of maintenance would have to be done on a new building if they put one.
sure they will, sure they will.
Thank you.
You'd have to vacuum the
Same
whole,
thing.
You know,
clean
my,
the bathroom.
at our church, we take turns, and once a month, my wife and I go in and we vacuum and we wash the kitchen floor and we clean the toilets, and I've cleaned a lot of toilets in my day.
It's a great idea.
They don't clean themselves.
No, I don't. You know, maybe that's not something that we need to even be involved with, but it seems like it's something that should happen.
I think that's the issue here, is that we're getting into things that truly are not ours in terms of responsibility.
Right.
Other than perhaps as a future item, once we get the town office back in the town hall, of ensuring that there's a line in the budget that is for maintenance and custodial
Sure.
care.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, if the town citizens are willing to have the town hall building again, I think what goes hand in hand with that is also committing to a certain amount of money every year
Yeah.
for maintenance. And for quite a while, that was being done. Without any question. All you have to do is say, we need this money for this, this, and this, and just go down the list. This is what this line means. And as long as you explain it, and as long as it seems reasonable, the town citizens didn't balk. They just did, there was no argument. As long as they understood what the expenses were for. And I think that is just something, the ball was dropped. And if we were successful in getting an article passed to get us back in the town building, our next step would be to make sure that there was a line in the budget.
Yeah, and if we had a new building, we would have to do the same thing.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Not getting out of it.
So that's.
And I don't think it's realistic to expect our town manager or town clerk to be cleaning the, doesn't seem like it to me. But
Well, Dennis,
Fire the janitor and.
you've done an
Make
extraordinary
clerical
job.
do it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. This is extremely comprehensive. I think this is very much almost, you must be doing a 40-hour week on this.
Well,
You're doing a good
hopefully
job.
not.
Very
Hope
good.
not,
But it's, thank you very
I'm
much.
testing the limits with my wife, let's put it that way.
Well, okay, and then thank your wife too then, because what you've done, I think, has been yeoman work, and it has really carved a good, clear path
Well,
for us, so.
And thank you, wife.
she typed it,
Yeah, thanks, Dennis.
and,
Done a great job.
like you say, if you've got something to add to it, or something that you disagree, please say so, it's a preliminary list, and there may be other things.
I'll add the word comprehensive to this.
Preliminary comprehensive list.
Well,
Dennis,
It's
I
not
had-
something you can dismiss,
No,
right?
Do you have anything on this list that you want other, I mean, you got a lot on your plate,
Well-
other people to help with? I made a call on the foundation,
Well,
was
snow
supposed to
smells
call them, but evidently they did.
Well,
Smells off the roof.
I don't know some of these people. I'm fairly new here, and anybody who's been around Guilford Sangerville for 50 years, I know. But people who are newer than that, I don't know. The Mason, I know.
What makes it hard is you're the only one that can get in there.
Well, it's a little limited. They don't want to open it up to the public at this point and have everybody wanting to, and I can see that.
But you gotta have somebody to take these people
Yeah.
in, and if
Yeah,
they're
and
only
I-
gonna let you, it puts a lot of weight on
And I have to rely on Patrick to come with the key and get us in, so we're a little bit limited that way, yes.
So do you think, to help you, if Dad or Jeff or I went with Patrick and brought that one person to go in with Patrick,
We can,
would that help you?
yeah.
Well, like
So pick some things, Lance is gonna get a whole
yeah,
clip.
the mason service, like the one where you talk about getting CNS for, that's for the brickwork, the exterior brickwork,
So,
right?
Right.
until they
So that's
replace
something
him,
somebody can walk the exterior of the building and get a
March
quote.
31st.
Right.
I'll see if I can get
Or
a
until they replace
You
him.
wanna do that?
So we get a limited
Just, I
time
got his wife on Facebook.
with everything
Okay.
that is estimated.
And check that chimney.
one more question, Dennis, before we move on from your list. The first item was roof repair, and the select board had asked Patrick to get an estimate. And my understanding is Patrick's here for just a few more weeks or months or whatever, and he's
Right.
moving
He's
along.
resigned.
What can we do to help you hold the toes to the fire and get that done so that we have it
Well,
as soon as possible?
I'll be talking with him this week, and I'll see if he's got any answers on that. I still want to try again. I think probably most of the ice is off that roof right now.
I think so too.
And if I can get his key and get back in there, I may be able to get up through that hatch, but I couldn't before, so.
I'd love to go with you.
Yeah, well, I'll let you know if we can make an arrangement, but,
And my understanding at the board meeting that we were at is that their intention was to get that as a line in their budget as an expense for the town.
right. So
Not
that,
as part of this estimate.
actually,
Not something-
probably not, outside, but it's part of us, but it's
Correct.
outside of us too.
See if they can get the foundation.
As long as it's not a Band-Aid.
Right.
Right.
I mean, it could
No, we
just
need to
be
repair it.
a Band-Aid
It
budget.
needs to be fixed, right.
Yep.
And doesn't necessarily need a commercial person. You
Well,
can get a
I don't know, who is there around here who would do a roof of that nature?
It's a membrane roof.
Yeah,
Who was the guy that we had that had the camper?
There's a couple of
membrane
outfits,
roof?
there's a couple
He
of
did
outfits,
that.
Roof Systems of Maine, they do flat
Systems of
roofs.
Maine.
There's a few outfits. that-
out of Bangor area.
Yeah, There's nothing local here
No,
that I know.
I don't think of anybody locally.
We've got some people that live in our town that work for those companies that do it commercially, and I know them. And that may be a way to get an estimate out of them.
Well, okay, I don't know who those people are.
You should do that.
Yeah.
Well, without stepping on Patrick's toes. I
Right,
mean,
Get
he
ahold
has a
of
Patrick.
directive by the board to do something,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I don't
give me a
wanna
couple of days
subvert-
and I'll,
Yeah.
See if
that'll give you
Patrick
something to
needs
do
help
the
with
next
it.
couple days,
yeah,
Dennis.
I'll get with him and see what he's found out about that.
Yeah, and if he hasn't, I'd be happy to,
If he
Try
hasn't,
to line
we'll-
something
we'll
up.
go around the,
because we can call Handel Brothers or Roof Systems or one of those guys and
Right.
get somebody up here to look at
you know,
it.
I just say, I know the guys to ask in New Hampshire. In fact, I got the guys on my phone who would do it, but,
Yeah.
Travel that far.
Yeah.
You wanna come here to do it?
This is more
No.
reasonable than handling
Do both chimneys come through the flat roof?
Yes, I think so.
believe so.
So when we're doing the roof, flashing the chimneys at the same time?
Do both
Yeah.
of them.
It'd be all in one.
Correct.
Do both of them, we keep them.
And maybe
Yep.
if you do get up there, take pictures,
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
because
Don't
if it
have-
snows again.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, so we're all set with the building needs report. Everybody's asked Dennis what they want to ask him.
Well, I had one question. How far down on this list will we have to go to get it reinsured so that, they can get them back in the town?
That's a good question.
Probably everything
That's a
on
good
that
question.
report.
We would have to meet the things that are on the list of anomalies, which is
The
here in this
MMA
file here.
report.
The report.
I
Is
believe your
building
list
danger.
covers all
I got,
this.
I got a list for the report, you wanna look at it? You have to
I think
look
we'd
at
have
it, But
to.
you can look at it.
The fire extinguishers have to be done, the
Yeah.
slate in the attic has to be done,
Well, me and Jeff were there
Front.
with the engineer.
Yeah.
And looking in the attic, and the engineer looked at me and told me, he goes, that slate doesn't have to go anywhere, because it's sitting on top of a supporting
Stringer or
wall.
support.
Oh,
it isn't even enough to
Yeah.
mount
And
anything.
Jeff-
Foundation.
But it's in this
But-
report.
yeah.
I know.
As
Seems
a
like a lot
hazard.
of easy
He
ways.
started, when we got there, he started just adamant that the building needed tons of work, and by the end of our tour, we were in the basement, and he looks at me, he goes, I don't remember this basement looking this nice. And he goes, that slate doesn't have to go anywhere, and
Well,
he loosened up quite a bit.
Because it's on the report, we have to do it, but it doesn't,
Oh,
Yeah, is that the report that the insurance company?
Yeah.
told us?
Yes.
apparently, as far as I know.
Yes.
That is
Get it
the
out.
anomaly
I
report.
mean, yes, it's a good question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a minor.
Oh, yeah, that's
So
mine.
fire extinguishers,
You can get the foundation of the roof.
Foundation roof and the electrical,
Electrical.
the exposed wires,
Yep.
the emergency lights, exit lights don't work, most of them. The batteries are dead, they haven't
That's
been.
on
that's
the
not good.
website too.
Clearing the lobby.
Yeah, and the exits, have to be cleared of stuff,
Yep,
those are
as do the
things.
rest of the building.
Yeah,
Half that list could be knocked out in a day.
Yeah.
right. Half a dozen people could make a big dent in some of this stuff.
Yeah.
so we just need to get in the building to do it.
We do, and
So
I.
what do we need to do that? The
have to wait
foundation, the
for-
roof,
Well,
the electric?
That's a good
Pretty
question. I put it point blank to
Or
Michael. I
waivers.
said, look, if we wanna come in with some volunteer crews and do some things, tear out the shelves in the library and do some flooring and things like that. The answer I got was, well, you can't do anything like that. Why would you even think about that unless the foundation is
I
fixed?
I was gonna
So,
say,
okay,
I think it starts with foundation.
right.
Get the big ticket items, foundation, electrical, and roof.
Yeah.
As soon as that's done, I think we have
Some leverage.
some,
to
yes,
do it.
exactly.
And then
Insurability.
before we start taking out partitions and tearing down some of the shelves, figure out what we're gonna use for that space, because if it was a rental, they may want that.
yeah, bookshelves are good to have.
Doesn't that go
So,
into the,
and then if it's town hall, they may not, town office, so we can kinda
Yeah.
wait with that, because it's kind of fluff afterwards.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
gonna
but
make
right
it
now,
look nice.
we're just after a rock
Doesn't-
solid number to bring to the town meeting.
Correct.
Right,
doesn't
right.
This
this
is
foundation
the
figure.
next article?
Electric,
Yep,
Which is why we
Yeah.
should
Yep.
go on to.
yeah, we need to
And-
move,
Extinguishers.
fire extinguishers, which are cheap.
We need to wait for
I
the
mean-
article to get approved, to get
Yeah.
them to say, yes, we can spend the money.
okay,
Once
let's
we
move
spend the
on,
money,
let's
then
move
we
on
can
to,
go
on from building needs and on to insurance information.
forward. Question?
Okay,
I think it's important in this conversation, if we need to talk to the insurance company, if we do this list, you will write this policy.
mm-hmm,
I just don't wanna get caught spending $400,000 making
And then say no.
so you're suggesting that the selectmen, ourselves, have a meeting with the insurance company and say, this is what we're proposing, is this going to be insurable? Before we move on with any concrete plans.
Or say what bare minimum that we have to do to get it insured.
In writing.
So they don't have, we don't have to do everything on this list to get insured.
As long as they're on board.
So,
The selectmen are not
Just
gonna
what
be on board
they-
with that.
No,
Tell us we have to do.
not at all.
Go
They have
ahead.
that carrot's been
So how do we get that where they're not gonna be on board?
I don't,
Back to your question,
The article,
it isn't approved yet.
that's right. It needs
Till
to
it's
be
approved, we don't have to worry about insurance or anything else.
That's
We
right.
can't even get there.
You had a question?
Just a comment, is it possible to just get a liability policy during the work as
Right.
opposed to covering the building?
That is a
itself?
very good question.
That is really.
Construction.
I asked Michael about that. Can we get liability for volunteers to do
Yeah,
anything?
just
That's
check
the.
Well, because it's the liability,
Right.
I mean, when we put the food cupboard in here, we bumped up our liability.
But he doesn't even wanna
They
do
do,
that,
but
right?
it's not limited to public, it's limited to no public
We need to
access.
get on to get an
Yeah.
article.
Yeah.
Okay,
If we don't get the article, get the article approved, we can't do any of this.
so the next section, again, Dennis was part of this subcommittee as well, the insurance information.
Right. I have nothing more to add than what I've told you, so.
So we'll table that
What
till
is
next
the insurance
meeting.
company? What is the company?
MMA,
It's through the Maine Municipal Association.
and they won't talk to anybody but a selectman, correct?
Probably
Or
not.
a town manager,
I don't think we would get anywhere,
but the town manager could come, maybe?
maybe.
I might be able to.
Maybe I'll get a hold of Pat.
Yeah, as building
Give it
inspector,
a shot.
Lance might have it in.
Lance might be-
Lance, you're building
I'm gonna
inspector.
give it a shot.
See if you can get a hold of
I
him.
deal with MMA quite a bit.
What do we
Alright.
have to do on this list to
Yeah.
get it?
Lance
Sure.
actually can deal with MMA,
I deal with
unlike the
MMA.
rest of
I don't
us.
know if they'll speak to me about that specific
Specifics.
building.
But they could tell you
I'll
what
try.
you need to be insurable,
You could
Yeah.
feel them out.
Yeah.
You could feel them out.
You can
what
ask
the,
a
what the
question.
codes
Yeah,
are,
I mean, they're pretty easy to deal with.
so Lance can do
Okay.
that.
So we're all set with that report? Okay, next, we're gonna move on to warrant articles, which was Paul's department.
Okay, well, I heard from both attorneys, and I know it'll be a struggle for you all to believe, but I got two different opinions. Which is why I didn't ask three attorneys. Because we don't need three opinions. Eric Stumfeld and my friend in Bethel, in the name of Jared Crockett, who's a judge of probate over there, they both commented. They both seem to have some reservation about taking the authority away from the selectmen. I have some reservation about letting them keep it. That'd be my opinion. So, why don't I just read you what Eric wrote up? This is a second indention of his comments. The first one included the selectmen doing everything, and I asked him to write it without that in there. And it says, will the voters of Sangerville authorize the town to allocate up to $440,000 from the town's reserve funds to be used to begin renovations to the town hall building? With a one-year goal, the renovations will be focused on obtaining municipal insurance and re-establishing use of the first floor of the town office, voting place, and community meeting space. The required repairs will be put out to bid, and the project overseen by a committee consisting of the following town citizens: Dennis Campbell, Gerald Peters, Patty Davis, Lance Johnson, and Jeffrey Peters. You probably noted that I said they will be put out to bid. It does not say who awards the bids. It does say that. That's what he said. Jared broke it down and made it 3 articles.
Oh, we separated
Well,
into three
can-
separate.
He broke it
Can
into
I-
3 articles.
Can I just ask a question? Isn't this the one you wrote?
Well, it's a version of it.
To a certain extent.
Pretty close.
Wasn't this the one that Eric sent?
He sent us one, and then I asked him to revise it.
Right.
This is the revision.
Yeah.
What I
Revision.
read was the revision.
Revision, yep.
Okay, then Jared says he read the, he printed out the article that I just read, because that's what I sent him. And he said, petition to the town of Sangerville, Maine. We, the undersigned voters of the town of Sangerville, Maine, qualified to vote in all town affairs, hereby request that you place the following articles before the voters for their consideration at an open town meeting. Article 1, to see if the town of Sangerville, Maine will vote to appropriate an amount not to exceed $440,000 from the town's reserve funds to renovate and repair the current town hall building to ensure its continued use as the town office, voting place, and community meeting place. And then he has Article 2, to see if the town of Sangerville, Maine will vote to create a volunteer building committee to consist of 5 people to develop scope of work for renovations, review proposed plans, solicit bids for final approval by a special town meeting, and oversee the renovations. So he's sending the approval for it back with the special town meeting, already town meeting. Still isn't with the selectmen, it's with the town. And Article 3, to see if the town of Sangerville, Maine will appoint Dennis Campbell, Gerald Peters, Patty Davis, Lance Johnson, and Jeffrey Peters to serve of the building committee created in Article 2. That is Jared Crockett's condition.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as much as I certainly don't have an awful lot of faith, I mean, when you get people that are getting rid of the maintenance crew, making the clerks do the work, do the custodial work, I think it's very inappropriate, and I think they're out of line, quite simply. So I guess I would be willing, I would support, we'll just have to call a town meeting and do it that way. They both did express some concern about taking the power away from the selectmen. But the town meeting is the ultimate authority in the town, not the selectmen, the town meeting. So if we got everything together, then town meetings have to be posted, I guess it's 2 weeks in advance or something like that. We'd have to post it, and we'd have to have a meeting and go over everything, if we go that route. Now, we can go the other route. We could change this a little bit and just say, the required repairs will be put out to bid and approved by a special town meeting. And then you can go on to say, the project will be overseen by a committee consisting of 2 folks of that.
Quick question on that, Paul. Is there a way we could put that it would go out to bid and the selectmen would be directed to award the bids to the lowest bidder? That way it's not taking it away from them, but it's still...
You could do that. It's not my call, certainly. But
Involved in.
procrastination would enter into it, I'm afraid, and it would take months to get anything approved. That's what I think would happen. I mean, I'm sorry. I really hate to feel this way. I wish the selectmen were here tonight and were participating, and let's all go
As it
together,
should
let's
be.
get this done. But that isn't the case.
No.
And I believe they would procrastinate, and they don't want to do this.
To put it out to bid, okay, so we got an offer like this on the foundation. Who else is going to give? They're almost in a niche by themselves with the product and the approach that they have. I don't see, even to write it up and say, how do you specify something that's going to, unless you're
That quality is gonna be better than a patch.
right, unless you say, estimates to fix our foundation, period, and leave it so broadly undefined that somebody comes in with, well, we're gonna jack it up and replace this, or we're gonna do something else.
So I'm feeling everybody's in line with what Paul is saying, that the purpose of the committee is to follow through with the intentions of what we're doing here, versus relying on our current town government to do that for us.
And to put things out to bid, do we have to publish this and say in the newspapers or whatever, and say we're requesting bids for the wiring, requesting bids for the plumbing?
Yes, you have to.
Is it my understanding that if we don't listed as a bid and we listed that the group is actually the ones that's supposed to get the estimate, which you did, and actually appropriated that money. That takes the bid out of it, it takes the selectmen out of it.
But I think it's gotta be bid.
I don't know.
The selectmen did say we needed to do the foundation, and we got the quote. If we took it to the selectmen, would they say, no, you can't do that?
They're not gonna put the money into
No.
it.
They would
No.
approve it.
They'd have to put the money
Are we gonna have the same
Like,
selectmen?
27 grand.
at the end of the-
I know.
They'll leave,
Probably
right?
not.
I'm hoping not.
We don't know.
So we need
That
something to
is
stop
like-
the sale.
Right.
Grabbing a grease pig. We don't know.
I've heard rumors.
No, you've
The
heard.
That's
question
pretty strong rumors too. but-
I have, do we necessarily want to put it out to the lowest
Correct.
bid?
No, no, absolutely not.
Correct.
When we do bids for the county, who does a real good job for
Yes.
us?
Right.
And usually it's whoever's in the middle, and that's who we award the bid to.
Mm-hmm.
We have people bid, they're gonna plow the road to Blanchard, to Monson, up through to Shirley, and they got a half-ton pickup truck to do it with.
Yeah.
And they'll do it for $2,000 worth. What's his name up north, Guilford wants 6.
Well, we
And he's got the half a dozen dump trucks and big wings.
Right. I think we have one
He's got people
advantage
to do it.
here. One advantage is the fact that we've already got this estimate that everybody here, I think, really likes
Yes.
for this foundation. Our advantage is the estimates that we get in now are gonna be concrete, Skip. The foundation, they're gonna be concrete. Pretty soon, the selectmen are not gonna let people in there because the town manager's gonna be gone.
Yeah, exactly.
So how are they gonna do a bid if they can't get in and see it?
I think though that we're getting, it's the cart and horse thing again. I think what we need to focus on is what is the language
Yes.
So that
to
we
the
can move
article
forward.
so that we can move it forward. Not worry about all these other little details that are niggling little details that need to be addressed. But right now, what we need to do is find out if the town supports the idea of
Keeping the building.
getting the
Yeah.
building back
Yep.
in shape to have the town office, the community center, and the voting place in the building. So I think we just need to make a decision as to which way we wanna go. Do we wanna go with the 3 articles? Do we wanna go with the single article? Because time's running out, and we need to not only make a
Need to get with it.
decision, we have to get it to the town office, get it on petitions, and then meet again
And,
to move forward.
and if we need to get bids, meaning we have to publish it and say the town of Sangerville is selecting, for fixing the foundation or the wiring or whatever. Who does that? Is it the select board? Is it the clerk? Is it the town manager?
Under this warrant article that Paul has in front of him, I interpret it as that
Committee
appointed
does it.
committee would solicit the bids.
So you guys
So,
would solicit.
yes,
the
that would be
bid.
good.
I would be very surprised if you get a real serious bid beyond what you got.
As far as the
But
foundation.
I think it would be very smart of us to call Jimmy French,
I did.
Bobby Elm, Bill Dexter, 2 or 3 others, tell them what we're doing. And then, if this gets approved, we invite the press in here some night.
Mhm.
Get the gal from the Observer, she also works for the Bangor Daily. You go back to work for a while. And put it out there, let the press have it, let them see it. And let's go
That
from
way
there.
we're not.
And that way, I mean, I doubt very much, somebody said they called Moore up to Abbott, I doubt very much if he'd be interested.
Oh,
He'd get
Jeff,
some
he's
aides,
not
Jeff
doing
Moore,
much,
he'd
no.
get some aides, he's tired, he's
He's
retired.
doing a lot of outside stuff.
No, I doubt if he would.
Okay.
And there's a number of
Yeah.
them that, I'm
Well,
not saying he won't, I'm
No,
just saying
well,
I doubt if he does.
I've called a couple people, just to say, okay, we're gonna need this for a budget figure. I'm not asking to say, we need a specific quote at this point and say, okay, do we need to put in $500 or $5,000? We need to know.
They gotta see it though.
You gotta get in.
So let's get back to our warrant article, which is what we're working on.
I trust Eric, he's done
He
a
did
lot of
good
municipal
work for us.
work
yeah.
for years, and I think that one Sometimes simple is. Exactly.
I like this, I like the simple paragraph myself.
It says the required repairs will be put out to bid and the project will be overseen by a committee consisting of the following. Now, it doesn't say that the committee will be approving it. It simply says,
Overseen.
And that I think is the caveat in terms of what kind of authority does the board have.
Correct.
They do have control of the budget in, what's spent and what's not spent. And so they are gonna have to have some hand in what goes on. But by specifically naming a committee of people who are going to oversee the project that is not the board, I think it's going to satisfy those people in the community who still have a serious distrust of the select board and what they do. And this may be a way for them to feel as though the project can move forward with their trust in the process.
That was expressed at the last town meeting.
Paul,
yes, sir.
you served in the legislature for a long time and have
22 long
moderated.
She's been mad because I come home, I'm telling you.
You've moderated many town meetings.
Hundreds of
What's your feeling as to which of those articles would be most acceptable to the voters at the town meeting?
I think that if we took this article and we took the sentence, the required repairs will be put out to bid, and we added to that to be approved within 2 weeks or whatever by the selectmen or within 2 weeks at a special town meeting,
I like the one or the other.
one way or the other.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Put their feet to the fire and say, this
And
is
if
what
they
we want, you work for us, now damn it, do it.
And if they
Mhm.
want to approve it
No.
for the special
Yeah.
meeting.
But the bids could be put out by the restoration committee.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, sure,
Instead of
yeah,
the
you
town
can,
of
you can
Sangerville.
wordsmith it that way, yes.
Mhm.
So, if this goes to vote, it goes to the meeting, it gets
It
voted
doesn't
in,
pass, but some,
that basically cuts that $440,000 loose.
Yeah, and then we
Slap
got,
in
do we
half.
have to have a treasurer? Do we have our own checkbook?
Do we do it, or
That's absolutely right. Do we have our own checkbook? Do
or
we have a
we
treasurer?
hire,
Do
or
we-
we hire the people in the select board
Yeah.
has to write that check?
Well, we were all willing to have an audit, and I think we
Oh, yeah,
probably would be,
definitely.
but you'd have to have one.
yeah.
Mhm.
Guarantee it. So, I think that to give the selectmen a time period,
Mhm.
and
Or a special town meeting. one of the two.
maybe other folks.
If this
Diane, you
comes,
got a different idea.
if we get a lot of signatures on that and the town knows what is going on with this and bring that to the selectmen, wouldn't they
Finally figuring it out.
be obligated to work with
They'd
the
probably
town
say,
and
"Oh,
not go
goody, a
against
list
the
to get
people who signed the
custodians."
petition? Huh?
I said they probably would say, "Oh boy, we got a list to hire janitors from." I don't know.
So,
We just need a lot of.
You would think so.
We just need a lot of signatures so they know how many people in the town really want this route.
And that's my feeling is
Yeah,
that the,
and then
the
it goes-
single article will be easier to present to
Less
people for
confusion.
signatures
I agree.
and
It
to,
contains everything other than who has the authority to
Yes.
award the bids.
And it's less confusion.
I do think that if this article were to get on the warrant, it would be our responsibility to make sure that we had at least one or two spokespersons
Oh, yes.
after the article is read to stand and say, this is what this means. And almost break it down like the 3-article warrant, in that this means that
Excellent,
we are
excellent.
working toward having the town hall return, have the town office return to the town hall, renovated town hall, after repairs are done. That the people who would oversee would be a volunteer group of citizens, and that group of citizens be this group of 5. But lay it out, and also talk numbers. It will cost X amount of money for the roof, X amount of money for the electrical,
Yes.
X amount of money for the foundation. Don't think you're gonna walk in and see unicorns and sparkles, because that's another issue.
Correct.
But we're dealing with the deep
Structural
needs
problems.
of the structure in order to get back in with insurance, and that the path forward after this is going to be the next phase, which will include asking for volunteer help as well as bidded awards for other work, so that we can get the unicorns and sparkle.
Yep.
And then the next phase is moving upstairs. But show them that there is a path that's been thought about. There is a vision in the end. But this first step is all the unpretty stuff. But it's needed in order to get to making this the active center of the town again.
Yep.
So if we can get the article, then get the people who would be good at speaking.
You do a good
Jerry
job.
Peters. Good, Jerry
I think you'd be
Peters.
good. I think you'd be good.
Last meeting that we had, when we voted on this, saying no to that question, he actually stood and spoke to everybody, and I thought nobody was angry. It went across really well.
That brings another issue. If I am the moderator, I will present this in a very even, fair manner.
Mhm.
You have to.
No other way.
Right.
I will do my very best not to tip a hand as how I might feel one way or the other person.
Right. It
Right.
would not be your job
No,
to speak to the issue.
absolutely
That
not.
would be
I
from
will read
people.
the article, and then I will
Neutral.
ask for a motion and discussion, and
Mhm.
just pick the people
Mm.
and try to pick them as fairly as possible.
So I would
As
move,
you always have.
Have we decided to change the language on the shorter version? And
Yes.
then we'll make a motion to accept it, and if that's what everybody wants to do.
And it's up to the Board of Selectmen to approve to put that on the warrant.
It is.
Yeah, that's the big.
But they have to give us town meeting time within 90 days of our asking for it.
He's working on the addition to it, and then I think we all should read it and say yay or nay and motion on it.
and if it turns out that the board were for some reason to deny putting that article on the warrant
The special meeting.
during the town meeting, it should be brought up that an article was presented with the proper signatures. It was denied, and that any question about the town hall should be, vote on the town hall at the town meeting should be made with the understanding that there is another path that
Right.
hasn't been presented.
That was my fear, exactly. To not have it on the warrant and have the new build on the warrant and nothing else to choose from and have it pass.
Well, that's why we have discussion during a town meeting.
That's
And
correct.
that's when blabbermouths can come forward.
That's correct.
Do we have an idea of the time frame we will need to collect the signatures to
Quickly.
get this on the
We need to
warrant?
get this done in a
Yesterday.
week or so.
No, we gotta get done before then.
Yep,
We gotta get done right away.
Yep.
okay.
I've just jotted this down, it's just my jottings, that's all. Will the voters of the town of Sangerville, Maine, authorize the town to allocate up to $440,000 from the town's reserve funds to be used to begin renovations to the town hall building? With a one-year goal, the renovations will be focused upon obtaining municipal insurance, reestablishing the first floor for town office, voting place. The required repairs will be put out to bid, and upon approval by the selectmen or special town meeting within 2 weeks of submitting the renovation list, the renovations will be overseen by the committee that we have.
Mhm.
That's pretty inclusive.
So,
Wanna
I
read
make
it
a
again?
I make a motion that we accept the language as amended.
Second.
Second.
I will amend the motion that Diane wordsmith this for us.
Oh,
And
Lord.
get it out to us tonight if you can, not tomorrow. If you would, please.
All right.
So we've had a motion and a second. Does everybody, let's take a vote. All in favor?
We need to get it done right away.
And that was a unanimous vote, I believe.
So
My
it's gonna
understanding
give it to
is,
the town
we have
office?
we have to present the article to the town, and then the town draws up the petitions.
The
and
town
everything.
clerk, we have to present it to the town clerk, and it's her responsibility. She has to do due diligence to research this.
Is there any time limit on?
She has 7 days, as I understand. I have a PDF in my phone that I downloaded from
Look at you, PDF.
Hey, first class is not at all, lads. You're way behind the
I
time for
think
this
they're
guy.
picking on me.
No wonder you're doing your own body work.
Do we want to do, like have a couple of people get up on video and explain what we want to do and like just put it up on YouTube and there's another way to communicate what we're trying to do out?
One of the things I think we're gonna get to in the end is some communication stuff that Diane and I were
I
talking about.
think you're,
Um, I was just answering her question
Oh,
personally.
okay.
Okay, so Diane's rewriting this. We've made a motion and accepted it. So let's move on to the vision of a fully operating town hall building. And we'll start with Jerry. He wrote his vision, wants to share it with us, and we just want to see if everybody's vision is similar.
Printer was out of ink, done a copy for everybody, so I'm just gonna need to read that, if that's okay.
I think that'll be fun.
Both of them.
Okay. My vision for the town hall is to retain town ownership and restore and maintain it as an operating town office and municipal building. For the present, we should make necessary repairs to be able to have insurance and resolve any safety issues. Would like to see the library space incorporated with the community room for having a larger gathering space, i.e. town meetings and other things. Going forward, we could appropriate funds yearly to properly maintain the building, paint, roof, and all that stuff is routine maintenance. Properly maintained, we can just save the upstairs for future time. Should the town decide that the time is right to restore the upstairs and use the second floor, it would at least preserve it, keep it. I believe when we receive estimates, we could do this for less money than being proposed for a new build. Some of the reasons I feel that way is it already meets ADA specs. It already meets
The downstairs.
handicap entrance, exits,
On the first floor.
if they keep the front steps and the front walk cleared, which they haven't for 10 years. But
I'd like to see them do that.
that's part of the egress plan for that building. It meets the fire marshal's specs, it's sprinkled, corridor and egress standards are there. We have a safe with a 2-hour fire rating. We have adequate parking. The center of town presence, it's a heritage that would be hard to duplicate with a new build. Our hall is listed on the Registry of Historic Places, and with beautiful stained glass windows, classical woodwork, and it has the whole place has a presence in the middle of our town. This is Sangerville. I made a note on bottom, 1 Town Hall Avenue. That's the physical address of that.
One time around
And I think that's where it needs to stay.
it. Me too, it's all.
So, in my vision, it would do the necessary things now, but preserve the upstairs, i.e. the roof and all that stuff, so that future generations, or even in the next few years, if the town, the people of the town wanted to rebuild it, restore it, make it accessible, it would be there for them to do that.
I've been really amazed through this journey. I've never really been a political person, and I got involved with this town hall thing because it really meant something to me, being here my entire life, coming up through. I mean, I went to Boy Scouts there, I voted the first time there. It's my history. And what I was really amazed by is I stood up in a town meeting and opened my mouth. And I'm so amazed at how many people have cornered me and said, amen, that's what we need to do. And it just really surprised me because of the negativity that's been presented around that building. Yet I go out in public and people just corner me full time to say, thanks. This means something to us too. And I think even some of that has even changed, my vision has changed as we've gone through this based on the input of other people in the town. And you all probably see it too. You have conversations with people just like I do. And as we get into this, I feel that vision that you've just outlined is very, very accurate for a large portion of the town.
Yeah.
And I think it's very accurate for the people in this room, or the majority of us.
Well done.
One thing, Jerry, you mentioned the safe there in your comments, but at the last meeting, didn't wasn't there discussion about a hole in the safe door that will need to be either repaired or replaced?
Well, they've taken the metal that they cut with a saw, pried out, and they beat it back in place.
I wonder how they cut it.
Is it secure?
They couldn't open it?
She asked, is it
Did they have set it
secure?
on fire?
Is it secure?
What's it?
They could've gone
It's a
upstairs.
wonder they didn't set it on fire.
Well, no, they didn't use
Too
torch,
many
they drill
people
holes
go,
in a couple
nobody
of
can hear
saws
each
or.
other.
But that could be welded back shut.
You mentioned that.
Right, and-
You should do it, then.
Reworded.
But
Let's get the
it's
ball
gonna,
rolling.
they
Yep.
had put in, they'd taken out the original
Mechanism lock.
dial, and they put in a digital one. And then the battery went flat on them, and nobody get it out. That's how we got
And
it.
what happened?
And now, they've just left it.
They
Left
just
it
left
open.
it. So,
Town records and.
could be millions of dollars in there.
So someone,
It's put that.
So do we go back to the original tumblers, or do we
Oh,
stick
no,
with the
yeah.
digital one
I
that
do wanna
the
come
battery's
back.
gonna run out again? If
nobody
nobody,
prepared the digital one, I
Well,
think.
I suspect that was the cheapest route.
What would
I'd
you
like to
think
see the
that?
lights on inside, so when you're driving by, you always see that beautiful stained glass.
So that's Kelly's vision, to see
It's
the
part
stained
of
gas.
the
unit. Okay, Diane had
I
had
just,
some input.
I think the vision itself, a vision should be painting a picture without I statements in it,
Yeah,
which is, you've gotten a start on it, but the whole idea is to paint a picture of what the future is for that building, so that anybody, it's like, once upon a time, this is what's going to happen, and they live happily ever after the end. But it paints a picture of what the building will look like, what the use of the building will be, and what the future of the town will be because of the building.
yeah. Yeah, I submitted that on as one member of the group that you delegated.
Yeah, we didn't get to
work
that
on
part
that.
of that.
It does.
We didn't get to the part.
It needs to
That was
paint a
the
better
first
picture.
thing.
Would you mind if I played with it?
I wouldn't mind at
Okay,
all.
I don't want to step on toes.
No,
I have a
no, you won't.
Okay.
so
If I
we,
don't like it, I'll tell you.
We actually got tied up in that article meeting that night and didn't get to it.
Visions
Dad
never
was
got to
sick,
be completed.
so,
Okay,
So,
so That's it for the moment for our visions.
Well, I see that keeping it open to see what happens here, because we could end up putting an anchor in there of a business and the town hall, a town office. We could do all different types of things with it. But my vision is, and that's mine again, I'm saying is to see the building preserved in some form and not get sold
That's what the.
out to a
Town
private
ownership.
citizen. Have it be town use.
I have a vision, I'm sorry, what did you call it?
Kelly?
Oh, I have a vision of that library space maybe being utilized by the code enforcement officer, you know, a place where everybody that has something to do with the town in some capacity could go in and use a common desk, a common copy machine. You know, each officer or elected person could go in and use.
Just municipal use.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, are you talking about efficient town government?
I see a water fountain too, and like at night you come by and it's just lit up and it's just so pretty.
Oh, okay, calm down, Kelly.
Look at it if they do.
She's got the unicorns and sparkles.
Yeah, there they come.
Okay, so we all done with the article?
Well, are we done with the vision?
So, at this point, everybody's all set with the vision. We can move on from it.
Okay. All right, I did a little tweaking because rather than putting this piece
Sure,
with it, okay, so what I've done is, I'll read it from the top. Okay, will the voters of Sangerville, Maine authorize the town to allocate up to $440,000 from the town's reserve funds to be used to begin renovations to the town hall building? With a 1 year goal, the renovations would be focused on obtaining municipal insurance and reestablishing use of the first floor of the town office, voting place, and community meeting space. The project will be overseen by a committee consisting of the following town citizens: Dennis Campbell, Gerald Peters, Patty Davis, Lance Johnson, Jeffrey Peters. This committee will put the required repairs out to bid and forward its recommendations to the select board for approval by the board or by special town meeting within 2 weeks of submission.
Fine.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Sounds
Sounds
good.
good to me.
Sounds good.
Yep, nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so shall I send that to Sandy so you
Yes.
can get
Yeah,
it?
you can CC me on it, but send it to Sandy.
Okie dokie.
So, once you get that printed off, then it goes to the town office.
Who's taking
Yes,
it to the
now,
town office?
That's next. Who's presenting it to Michelle? Myself?
You're the chair of the committee, if that's what you wanna do.
Love to do it.
Or you and Dennis can
Or
walk
you.
hand in hand.
I'm
Or
good
you-
with it.
And skip
I
in
don't
there.
care.
Or we can Mary Poppins in together if you like.
I get back, if I do it, then I look like I'm,
Yeah.
That's right, you need to stay.
Okay, so-
Right.
You need to stay.
I need to go on the
as a
committee.
moderator.
Tried to keep her off it.
Well,
Never done anything I tell her to do.
As written, as Diane has written, do we have a motion to accept that as the verbiage?
I move we
And
accept
take
that.
Accept.
Second,
vote?
unanimous.
It is unanimous. Okay, next item. Myself and Paul, how do we want to present this to Michelle?
Just bring it
Um,
up.
Oh, I think you and Dennis ought to do it.
yeah, you
Explain
should
You do?
to Jerry.
try to keep all out of it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you and Dennis and Jerry ought to do it.
I think it's a conflict to ask Paul to do that if he's going to be the
Yeah.
moderator.
I don't want to do it. I want to stay as.
And I'm willing to do it myself, or willing to have any of you that want to go with me.
It's
Either
probably
way.
a good idea to have somebody go with you because
Yes.
you
I
don't
think-
want
Just as
yeah.
a witness.
that he said, she said, you
Correct.
It's not gonna be a news flash anyway, so.
So
Yep.
it shouldn't be you and your father, cause you two are related, it should be you and maybe him or you.
Myself and Dennis. And
I
You
don't
and
know.
Diane.
I'll
so-
go.
Yeah.
Want me to?
She'll go with
Let's
you.
all
As long
show
as
up at the
it's
same
Tuesday,
time.
As long as
I
it's
think-
tomorrow.
Oh, there's not enough
I think he's
space.
planning to go tomorrow.
Yeah, we got, okay, there, it's
I
an
don't
SRO,
I
Yeah.
don't think that it would hurt to have 4 or 5 people go.
okay.
I
Okay.
think it would be
Alright.
good. I think Diane and Jeff and.
Is it,
And it has to be before lunch,
is it gonna be tomorrow?
Yes.
tomorrow.
Okay, I can do tomorrow.
I cannot,
I can't.
okay.
I can,
Hold
just tell
on.
me what time.
Tom can, all right, so Dennis cannot.
can't tomorrow.
All right.
Do you want to be a part of it, Dennis? Because we
I
could,
don't need to be a part of it, no, I got part of more than I want
your,
already.
your whole tomorrow's all taken up.
What time?
Are you willing to go
And
in?
like 9:30, 10 o'clock, is that?
I'm thinking 10 o'clock, we'll just meet at the town office, whoever's gonna go.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
All
I
right,
got
so
a
who's
meeting.
going? I
I'm
just,
going to go, Lance is going to go.
Lance,
okay.
is Melissa.
I could be there at 11. I have a meeting at 10.
You do.
Yeah. All right.
Tony wants to go,
Do you want
Phil
me
wants to go.
Yes, you going, Priscilla?
I can go.
So is it, does 11 work better for everybody?
How long do you think you'll have to be there?
Not very long.
Not,
15 minutes?
11
Is there enough
okay,
room?
too.
All
Yep.
those people?
Well, we'll be close.
Be tight.
We're pretty close now, so.
I'll make sure it doesn't drag on.
Okay, so,
are we not 10 now? Are we 11 instead of 10?
I think we're 11, because Melissa would like to go too.
Okay.
Should be more than 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
so I'm sending this to Sandy, Paul, Dennis, because you're co-chair, Lance, Priscilla, and Melissa, just so that you all have a copy in hand.
Fine.
Okay?
Fine,
All
thank
right.
you.
All right, and someone should make a copy to give to Michelle.
Okay, I'll copy it.
Okay,
How
so
many copies do we need? Just,
We'll make a dozen.
Just,
That's all.
why do you need a dozen?
no, just.
I mean, it's just for the people who are going to
okay.
the meeting,
Just
plus
one
one
for
for
Michelle,
Michelle.
one to keep for the meeting, because we're gonna have it all in email anyway.
And we're gonna have it on, we're gonna have it on our, it's gonna be written on our
Okay. But
signature
She's
collection
saying,
sheet.
Right.
she's saying you're gonna get it in the email that she's sending anyway.
Okay, good.
So I'll get 2 copies tomorrow.
If anybody can't go, I'd go.
Yeah.
You can
We'll
go
have
anyway.
it as
You're welcome.
email.
You're welcome to
go?
go.
Not public, no.
All right, I
Just show
will,
up, yeah.
I will send it to you as well.
It'll take as long as it takes for the stuff when you get to the top.
I don't-
Okay,
That it?
so one of the little items that we wanted to add, is kind of an addendum to item 2. At some point, I think Diane agrees, we need to start seeing a little bit of media presence or news on this so that the people are getting a little bit of feed on what's going on. Any suggestions from the group on how we do that?
I say invite the bank, the girl that was at one of our
Eaton.
meetings. What was her
The
name?
Gazette, Eaton's husband,
Yeah, Gazette, Bangor Daily, any of them.
does he
Bring her to
still
a
work
meeting,
for
bring
the
her to the
paper?
town office.
No.
No.
I get the Observer and the Gazette, the gal that works with the
I know
Observer
the
also
Bangor
works
Daily
for the
might
BDN.
just send a girl or
I bet
a
if,
reporter just once.
I bet if someone
Sheila
called
Grant.
even the Observer and told them we were gonna be there at 11 o'clock, I think they'd show up.
Well, Lance.
That's for Stuart. Stuart will come.
That is great. I think
So
a
who
very
do we
bright light
know-
needs to be shone.
Who do we know at the Observer?
So, I don't.
I'll
So
put this on
the,
Wednesday.
we're talking newsprint media and
You
not
can't go Wednesday.
Channel 5 News
Wait,
at this point.
No,
At this point.
I do, yeah.
So
See,
who
they
can
got a Channel
I,
5 News.
who can I stir to show up tomorrow?
You're only gonna get to stir the pot
So,
once,
I can,
twice, maybe
I
not.
can send an email to the Observer tonight that says that the ad hoc committee is presenting a citizen's petition for an article about the town hall renovation.
I would love their presence.
And if they can show up at 11 o'clock,
11 o'clock.
they can talk to the people.
They'll kind of document it too, you know.
Yeah,
Right.
Great idea.
One of the little thing that was thrown at me this week, and again, just putting out feelers there. Clint Roden has texted me a couple of times, and he would really love to put a sign out, "Save the Town Hall," a big sign on his property in the middle of town.
Oh, I would love that.
Who can
And
get us on?
I did,
Right,
I
he
did,
asked you.
Hand out flyers. Be like Back to the
He
Future.
put them out for me all the time. I didn't have to ask him. He never asked me.
so, I'm gathering by this conversation that nobody would feel
Oh,
slighted.
no.
Good idea.
No, we'll take selfies by the sign.
Move on to the final item, determining the date for our meeting next
Monday,
Oh,
next Monday.
Okay.
Monday the 19th.
We better do it.
This is a 12, 7 days, 19th.
Historical Society is the 26th.
If they should reject this, we need to have a
I don't know, anyone having a President's
I
Day
would not
party?
be surprised.
No.
It's President's Day.
Oh, shucks.
So bummed.
All right, so.
Okay,
Told the girls in the
so
office they
let's
should
wind
be
down for a minute, guys. So we're thinking next Monday, for our next meeting, a week from today. And
right here. Let's look at it.
If this is approved before then, can we pull together to get a group who are going out house to house to kind of split it
Are
up?
we gonna try to figure out who's gonna do the
this
signatures right
is
away?
what I'm thinking in our agenda next week is how to break this down. And I think our whole agenda next week will be pretty much devoted to this petition and how to approach collecting signatures. And Paul, if you could, bring in the rock solid rules on collecting the signatures so that we can have this discussion and have it be finalized next week on everybody's duties, who everybody's gonna talk to, the proper way to do it. These signatures have to be witnessed, and then we have to go into the town hall with them, and we have to swear to them, and they have to be notarized.
And they
and-
may have to put their address as well, correct?
Yes, they do.
You do.
Yeah, we will have, the town is supposed to issue us our form in town form, the way it needs to be filled out.
Can't you get a list from the town of all?
We have it.
She's got-
We-
This thick on my desk.
We have it, yes?
Next Monday, would it be useful to put it out there that a petition will be available here, we could open up the church for a day?
Not a-
You have,
it's
as
a
long as
set
that
with
person
regulations.
collecting signatures is
Just a minute.
witnessing it, isn't
Okay.
it?
Monday's a holiday,
What's that good?
Monday's a holiday.
town office.
President's Day.
Well, I'm not
Next
working,
Monday
so I could,
is.
if
The
you.
19th is,
It's
Right.
President's Day.
Right, but we don't need the town hall next Monday for anything, a town office, we're gonna do that tomorrow.
oh, okay.
Yeah, can't we do a
Oh,
gathering
yeah.
to collect signatures?
I said,
You
I'm not a
can.
senior resident, so can I collect signatures if not being a town resident?
I don't,
I don't believe.
I'll get an answer to that question.
But I could,
You can direct
You can
people in
try.
the right direction.
I signed at post office.
Yeah.
But she did have a valid
Yeah.
idea, is it a bad idea to,
Pictures, do
to
potluck?
let them
and-
know that Monday night here, next Monday, that we're gonna be here, and if somebody did want to sign, they could
We
come
can
here and
witness it,
sign it, it'd
absolutely.
save some beating the streets.
As long as you can follow the rules and
Yeah, we
witness
have-
signatures, that's all that's gonna happen.
Yeah, we just set
Correct,
it up
if we
over
have
there.
a form by then.
Lisa,
Well, do you
We
want?
may not have it, we probably won't have a form until next Tuesday, because they have 7 days to produce it.
Well, do you wanna disrupt the meeting?
Well, that's what I was just gonna say, yeah.
well, if you folks tomorrow talk to the press, if you get a chance, you said Monday.
I don't know if I'm
I
gonna
don't-
be here.
From 3, I can commit to that.
From what he said, we won't have the petition back in time, they're gonna drag the date, it'll be Tuesday or Wednesday before we have it.
Yeah, I think they'll take the whole 7 days.
We should
Well,
just
yeah.
go with what we got.
Well, okay, if they take the whole
But
7
if they
days,
don't,
if they do take the whole 7 days, we could possibly postpone the meeting until later on in the week if it's open, not on a Monday or Tuesday. But we could postpone it till later on in the week and have a meeting specifically for orienting us to what needs to be done
Delegation.
to get the petition out.
And we all can sign it.
Yes, but the whole idea is, we don't have to stall because someone else has stalled.
Yeah.
If it takes 7 days for them, because, they are busy, they've got work they're doing in
And in their
office.
defense, she has to research this question. She has to research the legal part of it with MMA, and she has to get a hold of those people and then get back to us. So, I mean, I'm not saying they're gonna drag their feet, but it may take the 7 days for her to get through the whole MMA approving our question.
And
I
if
think
it
Michelle
turns-
probably has experience in this.
The only thing that I can think of is the 2 weeks too short a time. That's the only thing I can think it
The
would.
meeting is for
Cause a
April
problem.
sixth, is the town annual meeting is
April
what I
6th.
was
It's
told.
been scheduled for the 6th.
Oh, I think we'll be fine unless that,
Right, and if
but we will
we,
know
change
in just a
it.
few
It's a town
days
meeting.
if there
Right.
is a
Right.
problem, and we can change it.
right.
So
And
we,
if
do we wanna
Next
tentatively schedule for next Monday, and if we don't have it by Friday, we'll
Lisa,
regroup?
We could get everything, all the information that we need to do without that. And
Mhm.
so we have the places we're gonna go, and
Yep.
we're all broken down,
No
whether we
fun
have it or
getting
not,
all-
and then we're ready to go.
That guy, Dr.
Lisa,
Bolton,
Does that sound good?
My
clue
only,
what he's talking
okay, my concern about inviting the public here is, if there's a storm, I don't live at the church, I know sometimes it feels like I do, but, we can't always get here to do cleanup.
Mhm.
And my concern would be, the snow comes off this roof right at the store,
Yep.
and if there's ice.
Let's take care of it.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable
We don't need to do that.
with that, it have inviting
Yeah.
guests.
Right,
people
okay.
We
Yep.
need to
So-
protect you too, and we're all set.
I think if we all were to take a petition,
That's right.
and we all got 10 signatures,
Yeah. 10? At least 10.
if we all got at least 10,
Oh, yeah, that
Then-
makes it easy.
that's 200 signatures right there, which is,
Visualizing
I'll be throwing a
500.
party.
And then we could come back, and we could use the list to make sure we can duplicate, most people aren't gonna sign it.
I know you've got like 5 people.
well,
You know,
That's Michelle's job to edit that, and she just
we
takes
could
them
make
off.
sure we had enough all together.
What did we decide we needed, 70 something?
70.
but
Let's go for 500.
There's
Yeah.
what, 35 on the page, 32?
I may,
Yes, Diane.
I just wanted
Okay, let's just get this wrapped up, guys. Diane had something she
When-
wanted to add, and
Yeah, when we have our meeting after the petition has been approved and printed, what we need to do is just make sure that we have all our ducks in a line. For instance, making sure that people understand that they have to be a Sangerville resident. Make sure that they write legibly. Make sure that they understand they cannot sign this same petition twice. Make sure that, it just give us, and we can write it out so that we've got our own little cheat sheet. These are the things as a person circulating a petition to remember. Don't leave it out. Make sure it's within your grasp all the time. And then,
You know what? I have some cards. If you wanna write all that down, I will make, I'll list it for everybody.
well, that's what I'm
To
saying.
take to bring to the next meeting, I'll have it, or we can just pass it out and you'll have it.
So
Yep.
I'll just print it up.
You
have to
I also have a list of voters.
Yeah.
Yes.
That Paul
double check.
forwarded
You don't
to
wanna
me,
get somebody
maybe
that's
we
not a
need to
registered
take a
voter.
different
Okay, let's go
approach
get you
to
registered.
ensure that. So if you got a list of voters that are registered, here's your sheet, your sheet, your sheet, so we're not getting the same people. And if there's somebody on your list that don't like you, or somebody you don't like, or
That's a-
somebody you don't think you can
that's
get
a
their
hard thing,
signature,
right?
hand it
I
off to
have like
somebody
70
else.
people myself that want to sign that petition.
Okay, well, we'll
Why
just
just write it down? I'll write these up for everybody, just tell me how many, I've got a whole pack of them.
Jeff, that just means you need to have a
I can
party.
just, I can write
And then
that.
have a party
You
and you
can
bring,
print it
have
out,
all
that's
the people
fine
come
too.
to you.
Okay,
Either way,
okay.
okay.
I'm not sure. You and I should probably,
Okay, so we've determined, let's get this wrapped up here.
Okay.
We've determined our next meeting is Monday night at 6 o'clock, a week from today.
and keep checking your email.
And that meeting is here, next Monday at 6 o'clock.
Unless otherwise,
We've got a motion to accept that in a second, and a vote.
Yep.
Move we adjourn.
I would second that.
Okay.
We